about to introduce you to Will Friedner. He is the Living in Montana channel. He's gone viral. We're going to talk about Mexican food. We're going to talk about Yellowstone. We're going to talk about living in Montana. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss this interview with him. Here is Will Friedner from Living in Montana. Thank you, Will, so much for joining me today and all the people that are watching. Let me ask you this question first and foremost. Let's just get it out of the way, Will. Do you hate Californians?
I do not hate Californians, and a dirty little secret is I was actually born there, so don't tell anyone.
Okay.
I was born there, grew up in Minnesota, and now I've lived in Montana for 21 years, so I don't know where you'd say I'm from at this point.
Montana is home, and that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening in Montana right now with all of us Californians coming there.
Well, I don't know if it's just Californians. Yeah, there's a lot of you guys coming up, but we're getting people from all over the country. And I think with the last 2 years of the Vrana and everything that went on, everyone's trying to get out of the big cities, whether they're in California or Texas or Phoenix, Arizona, pick a city.
What's the other state that's coming there? I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize.
We get a lot of Seattle, Washington, we get a lot of Portland, Oregon people, we get California, the whole Western US. We even, believe it or not, get a lot of people from Denver. And you'd think that people that are ready.
Snow, maybe, because they're used to snow?
I think it's a matter of getting out of the big cities, no matter where they are. But Denver kind of surprised me. We've sold a few places to people from Colorado, and it's like, most of the people that come up here are like, oh, I love the mountains and I want to be in the mountains and the wilderness. And then people from Denver, it's like, well, you guys already have that. Why did you come up here?
And when they are in the mountains and the wilderness in Montana, it's no joke. There's no like cell tower at the end of the block. Like, you're off the grid mostly?
There's a lot of, yes, there is a lot of off the grid up here. Now with Starlink, it's kind of changed the game. It's opened up a whole new parcels of land that never would have been probably settled before now with the internet. But now that you can live out in the middle of nowhere and have good internet, it's kind of been a game changer. And, with the advent or the new thing of people working remotely, it's just kind of changed everything for Montana.
So Elon is bringing his Starlink there. And so you could, because you serve the Glacier National Park area, am I correct?
Yep.
So that was probably not any, like you would go there to get away from it all, and now they're bringing it all there. Is that really what we want to have happen? Do we need to be connected at all times, Will?
Yeah, well, one could argue no, but the good thing about Montana is that, here in our valley, we have fiber optics and all of that. We're moving up to the big time, but you can still drive 15 minutes from here and you're in the middle of nowhere. So that's the beauty and that's the draw of this state.
So is that one of the biggest adjustments that Californians have when they move there is like, wait, I got away from all the people and now where's all the people? Because Montana, statewide, Montana just hit like 1 million people, right? Like, so there's not a lot of people, but it's a giant state.
Yeah, it's the 4th biggest state with just over 1 million people now.
But like, so we Californians move there because we want to get away from it all. But then when we get away from it all, what happens when they get there?
It's not like we're some ghost town you see on a old Western movie. I mean, in our valleys and towns and I hesitate to say cities, Billings it's way over on the eastern side of the state, and that's our biggest city, and I think it has 200,000 people. That's the biggest city.
That's not bad. That's a decent sized city.
Yeah, but the biggest adjustment I think for people from California or anywhere south of here is probably the winter. Because if you're in town or in one of these towns or valleys, we still have the Costco's and the Home Depots, and it's not like we're that far behind the times. We're just small. Okay,
so this is middle of October. When do you guys expect your first big snow? Like, when does that really start?
What I tell people, and obviously nobody can predict the weather, but after about now, say after about the 15th of October, it's a crapshoot. It could, a few years ago we had below 0 in October, but like today it's 75 degrees and beautiful. Oh. So you just, again, after October 15th, who knows?
When you're helping everybody move in and you tell them like, hey, after the 15th, trick or treat, It could be anything. When you're helping people relocate there, and you're talking about what you just shared with October 15th, what's the feedback that you get? Like, does it scare them, or are they like, oh, bring it?
You know, it varies. Some people are excited about the winter because they've never seen it. You know, like I said, I grew up in Minnesota, and I think the winters here in this part of Montana are nothing. I mean, they're almost too warm. When I was a kid, I would look at pictures of places like this and think, God, it must really get cold there.
Yeah.
And I had no idea I was living in Siberia. It doesn't get any colder than where I was. So for me, this is nothing, but for somebody from Phoenix or, you know, Southern California, it's a big deal. And
we got some thin blood here in California. We don't like it being cold.
Yeah.
We like to go to the cold, do our snowing, skiing, and snowboarding, and then go back to the beach. Go back
exactly.
to the beach.
Yeah.
In case people don't know, you, my dear friend, have gone viral. Tell us what that's like, and what video was it on your channel that made you go like crazy viral? I want to hear about that, and I think people would love to know that.
All right, well, kind of a funny story, and it relates to your home state. During Rona, when the stampede started coming, I got a call from these people that lived in LA. You know, they're like, we have to get out of here, these lockdowns, and we can't take this anymore. We want to move to Montana. We just want to get away. We want to be way out. We don't want to be near anybody. And I was like, have you ever been to Montana? Have you ever been up here? And they said, well, no. And I said, well, I don't think you understand what you're asking. You need to come up here and check it out. And they're like, okay, we're leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
Sure enough, 2 days later, they're sitting in my office. They drove up here that next day, and they had picked out a house that was way out. Like, I like to call it beyond the banjos. They were just like an hour out of town, like up Forest Service roads, whatever. And so they followed me in their car, and we get within a couple miles of this house, and I pulled over, and we had been on this dirt road for 10 miles, a mountain forest road. And I get out of the car and I walk back, and their eyes are like this, and they're like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us? This is so definitely, we could never. I said, I did tell you. And so on the way, we didn't even make it to the house.
You're crying out loud.
We didn't even make it to the house. We just turned around because they're like, there's no way. Because I said, this is August. What are you going to do out here in January? They're like, let's go. And so we turn around, and we drive the hour back, and I'm thinking, I should do a video kind of warning people about what Montana's like, and
yes,
maybe it isn't for you. And so ironically enough, I do this video basically breaking down everything I just talked about, or the different areas and how remote it can be. It took off, and I think it was the perfect storm. It was the timing. It was right before the last election, and for whatever reason, at the end of the video, I did this little blurb about, if you're going to move to Montana, that's great, but the way it is up here, just everybody likes the way it is. The reason you want to move here is because of the way it is. So if you come up here, just don't change anything and you'll get along just fine. That's all I said. And it turned political because of the election, the timing and all of that. Well, because of that, I mean, I have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 comments or something. And that's what was sending it out through YouTube. They were seeing all this activity on it, and they just kept pushing it and pushing it. And yeah, I got 1 million views in like a 2-week span. So
I have another question. I did watch another video on your channel about the bears that were in like it was a mauling.
Yep.
That made me like so sad. But when people are moving there and they're looking at these beautiful, remote, expansive properties, good Lord, some of them just keep going and going. Do you have to do something with the bears? Like, I mean, not hurt them or anything like that, but do you have to be like prepared for like, hey, you might get company every morning with your coffee? Like, how do you tell people about that?
So that video was actually my father-in-law. That's my wife's dad, and he was a ranger up in Glacier.
It was a great story.
It's known as Night of the Grizzlies because nobody had ever been killed by a bear since the park had been open until that night, and 2 different girls got killed on the same night by 2 different bears.
Trout leak.
Well, the odds were astronomical. But yeah, if you're moving here and you're moving out, sure, you have to. It's more about keeping what you keep outside. If you're, if you have chickens or if you dog food, anything you leave out, that will attract bears. And that's
no trash. Don't be leaving that trash. That
Yeah.
was the end of that video. I was like, I'm picking up every last bit of trash the next time I go camping.
To be honest with you, I've lived here 21 years now, and I have never seen a grizzly bear outside of Glacier Park, and I've only seen a few in Glacier Park. So, you know, the odds of you getting attacked by a grizzly bear here, you have a better chance of getting run over by a car than that.
Well, and it was rare for them to get that anyway. So when you're not doing real estate and making these really fancy, elaborate YouTube videos, where can people find you?
Because I am from Minnesota, I enjoy playing hockey. So this time of year, I'm either playing hockey or I also ref hockey. So I'm at the rink quite a bit.
There's one in Glacier. There's one in your town, which is
Yep, Whitefish.
Whitefish. Okay. And so you're a referee and you play?
I do, and I think that, you know, for you and everybody else that does YouTube, that has definitely helped with my thick skin, because I've heard it all reffing hockey.
Right.
So all of the nasty comments that we all get once in a while, it's like, oh, that's not even that bad.
When people are moving there, what is the industry? Obviously, we discussed Starlink. But what is the big draw there for employment? I know a lot of people work from home, but what else could they be looking at for, like, oh, I'm going to go work for XYZ company, or I'm going to open a business and I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Like, tell me what happens when they move there.
Well, mainly the people I've dealt with are working remotely, because we don't have the interesting thing, we don't have tons of industry up here. It's mainly tourism.
Okay, tourism, no, that's a good industry.
Sure, but I mean, the jobs that are kind of, you know, service type jobs, they're not jobs that people are going to move, you know, unless you're right out of college, a young person that wants to hike around and, you know, do that deal. As far as big industry, there's a tech company down in Kalispell, that a microchip company that's been around for a while, and then there's a couple of, as you would imagine, logging companies here in town, but that's more factory work. So we don't have big industry, and that's kind of why Bozeman, which is about 6 hours away from here, they're growing a lot faster than we are, because they have had a lot of people from the Silicon Valley move up there and start businesses and start companies in Bozeman. And they also have a college, that's Montana State is in Bozeman. The other University of Montana is in Missoula, which is about 100 miles south of where I am. So yeah, that in this area, we don't have tons. It's mainly people working remotely. You know, again, with the last 2 years, we're still trying to get caught up with the building and catching up with the demand of people that are moving here.
Okay, I have to comment on the video that you have just as your main trailer on your channel about this, like, what we Californians or people that are moving there that know nothing about living in Montana, this Instagram channel. I mean, I was laughing my head off at the video, and then I went to the Instagram channel and I was like, holy crap, so funny. So what have you experienced with some of the people that you've dealt with, like, where you're like, yeah, that's not gonna fly here? What's what's a story you can share with us?
The people that we run into, there's actually another Instagram channel, if you're into funny, you know, dumb tourist stuff. It's called the Tourons of Yellowstone, because Yellowstone Park, they get the people that walk right up to wild buffalo and try and get selfies, or the elk or whatever.
Let me just apologize right now for all of us crazy Californians. If that's us doing that, I'll just apologize on the entire state's behalf.
And the other funniest one, I guess, is for people that don't get it, and how would you if you don't have, a lot of people have not had to use bear spray in their lifetimes.
Right.
So they come up here, well, it's like super, super highly concentrated pepper spray. Like, it's way worse than the stuff you would carry in your purse for a mugger.
Right.
It's like 10 times as strong or whatever. Well, some people think you use it like mosquito spray, and they'll start spraying their kid with it, and it's so that happens every summer. We get the people that
poor kids, like, what's happening?
they got to go to the hospital, because especially if it gets in their eyes, it's that strong.
When somebody is selling something between 600,000 and 800,000 here in Bakersfield, and, you know, we're big on oil and ag, what does that purchase power give them in Montana, in your
Unfortunately,
area?
Not a lot anymore.
Oh,
after the
well, what are we doing this for? Let's just call it quits right now. Come on.
You may be surprised at our prices. They've gone through the roof, and especially if you want some land. I had somebody just ask the other day for 5 acres 5-acre properties under $300,000, and I think there were 2. 3 years ago, you could find that all over the place, but now, you know, like in our town of Whitefish, the average price of our houses for a single family home went, you know, 2019, it was about 400,000, and now it's up to 875.
Tell me about why it's awesome to live in Montana.
Oh, it's just, you know, it's the wide open spaces. We don't have the crowds. We don't, like I said earlier, you can drive. You know, I'm in a town and it gets very crowded over holiday weekends and, you know, in the summer and then when we're right at the base of a ski resort as well. So we're busy in the winter. Also, we're 4 hours away from Calgary. We get a lot of Calgary people coming down here. So they call it their version of Tijuana. They come down, tons of them, and so it gets crowded, but the good part, like I said, is you can drive 15 minutes and you're out in the wilderness. So it's not far to, you know, like what you see behind me is what it looks like in this area. And as you can see, you don't have to drive too far to be away from everyone and just be out with the bears.
That is fantastic, because that's Glacier National Park behind you.
Yep.
It's beautiful. And you hike that, you ski that, you camp there, right?
Yep, all of the above.
All of the above. Year round?
Yeah, I've cross-country skied up there. Yeah, it's much slower in the winter. They don't plow. There's a road that goes through the park, through the middle of it, and it's called Going to the Sun Road. And I did a video where it's just spectacular. I just held the camera out the window and drove up the road because it's just unbelievable. It's one of the best drives in America.
What's your median home price in Whitefish in your area? Like, it's the 800,000, or is that with land?
Yeah, no, that is in town.
And what does that get you? A 4-bedroom, 2-bath, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? What are we looking at?
Yeah, it depends on the age of the house. And we have some older homes in the main part of town. And then obviously they've been building a lot. But if anybody is curious, I can send a link to our MLS site and you can see everything I can see and you can look around. And yeah, I mean, we have a big lake here too. So obviously anything on the lake is, well, there's nothing under $2 million now on the lake. So we've kind of turned into the new Aspen or Vail or...
Yeah, you're getting very high end up there.
Well, and the show Yellowstone has brought in a lot of people as well. So
is that filmed in your area?
It's filmed about 3 hours south of here in a town called Darby is where the ranch is. And it's funny, and I did a video about it, you know, the Hollywood magic. The ranch actually is right along a highway, but in the show you'd never know that. It's also supposed to be, you know, basically bordering Yellowstone Park, but it's actually about 6 hours away. So
did you just drive there one day of like, I wonder if they're filming, or were you invited there because you're a local guy? How did that work?
Yeah, Hillary, the other gal that does the lives with me that's on our team, we were just bantering one day on one of our live streams and people were like, oh, you guys should get on Yellowstone, because we had done a video about the ranch and I had always wanted to get into that ranch, but you can't. And so there's a Facebook group. They only take people from Montana to be extras. And so there was a Facebook group called Yellowstone Extras, and that's where they put out a call like, hey, we need whatever, some old guy that has a YouTube channel. So
ding, ding, ding.
So yeah, so we both signed up and we both got picked, and I went down there for 5 days and filmed, and it was awesome. It was very cool. And
has your episode aired, and are you in it? And tell us.
Well, if I'm in it, it'll be the very first episode, which is November 13th of the new season. Like I told my wife, she's like, oh, are you going to be everybody? Are you going to be in it? Well, I could be in it a whole bunch, or I could be in it none. Because they shoot every scene about 30 times and you don't know what they're going to use, and there was a lot of extras.
What were you dressed as? Like, what were you?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Okay. We had to sign all kinds of non-disclosure and all of that. Did you get pictures with all the actors and then you can't post? Oh, you're not allowed to. Yeah, they didn't even want you talking to them.
What kind of fun is that? Good Lord.
Well, I know. I mean, I will say the actors were very nice and friendly, and Kevin Costner's the main guy, and between takes, he would kind of banter with everybody, and it was fun. It was cool.
But you can't take pictures of him? You can't do anything?
No, you're not allowed. No, they don't want the secrets of they don't want people they don't want you to spoil the episodes or what's coming out. So you'll just have to wait. I will say that I'm still waiting for my phone call to be the co-star, and they have not called yet.
They might need another brother. They might need it.
I know. I was thinking that, you know, I could be the next Kevin Costner, but apparently I'm still waiting for the phone to ring.
You got the chisel. You got it. You got it going on, Will.
I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for me and for the people that follow both you and I. I'm excited that maybe one day I could help somebody relocate from California, and I'll tell them, don't do anything stupid.
Change your license plate. Change your license plates the minute you get here. That's my best advice.
For real?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of the locals that'll like to give you the one finger wave if you got the California license plates.
Go back home. What if you're just a tourist? Well, you probably have a rental car or something, so that probably wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But if you're just there for like a visit, like don't be driving your car. Borrow somebody who's a local. Drive somebody else's car. You might not have 4 tires to get home. Good Lord. Come on, Californians, get it together. Don't be dumb. So when we are leaving California and moving to Montana, what is the best thing about when we put California in our rearview mirror and we like settle into Montana? Do you hear from us and say, man, we should have done it sooner. It's bigger, better, awesomer than I thought. I made up a word. What is our like period at the end of the sentence after we settle in there?
I think just the peacefulness and the quiet and the, you know, we're still, even with the population growth we've had over the last couple of years, there's, like you said earlier, we're a huge state. We're the 4th biggest state, and there's 1 million people spread out over the 4th biggest state, which is not a lot of people. So I think that's what people like the most.
What is your governor and your state like for getting an entrepreneurs, like whether they're a trade or whether they have a business idea? Would Montana be a good place to make that happen? Yeah,
actually, it's funny you bring that up. I did an interview. The guy actually reached out to me because he saw my channel. Guy that works for the state, and because our governor is pro-business.
Yay.
And so yeah, it's a great state for starting new business, and now with all of the growth, there's obviously plenty of trades type jobs and awesome. service industry type jobs, or needing new restaurants, whatever.
Yeah, restaurants big time. We Californians, we love our tacos and our Mexican food. Like we need, if we're going to be coming there, we're going to need somebody to start what we love there, so that they're not just complaining about it not being there. Listen, just start it.
See, therein lies the problem right there, Angel. That's what we're talking about. Don't bring it up here.
You don't want Mexican food? You don't want tacos?
we have some already. What I've noticed in my lifetime is that the closer you get to the Canadian border, the worse the Mexican food gets. So
okay, so noted. No, we like very good salsa because as far as I'm concerned, and many Californians, chips and salsa is a meal. I mean, it's a food group. Like, that's,
I'm with you. I agree.
So don't be bringing us some paste picante and calling that salsa. We ain't having it.
There are some trade-offs with living up here, and our food probably isn't the best, but you get what you see behind me. So
okay, so there you have it. So the people that are watching, bring the Mexican food, the good Mexican food, a good taco truck, some really good ceviche, get some good stuff up there, and then they'll quiet down. You could settle any Californian down with some good Mexican food. So when somebody is selling here in California and they are considering you, they're going to reach out to Montana Life Realty at Gmail, and they're going to get you, Will. They're going to get your fantastic personality. You're going to take them to a hockey game. You're going to do all the things with them.
I will take care of them.
And if we're not on your channel, which is Living in Montana, right? Your channel?
Yep.
Where else will we find you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok? Are you on all the other?
We're normally, and I won't go through all of them, but Montana Life Realty Team is our Instagram channel.
Okay.
I believe TikTok as well, Facebook. Yeah, it's all Montana Life Realty Team.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate your time.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Will. All right, so if leaving California is blipping on your radar, Will is the guy to talk to when you want to move to Montana. Man, oh man, isn't he something else? I look forward to helping you leave California. Not that I want you to leave, but I'll help you get that process started, and we'll absolutely welcome you in Montana. Feel free to reach out to either one of us. I'll see you around town.